Rebuilding your foundation, how every hooper needs to fix their body first before seeing a PT. Now, introduction, this video is obviously not going to be sexy. It's not IG worthy, but you know what is sexy? Dunking on a motherfucker 10 years after your career was supposed to be over. Earning $1 million over the course of a few years while traveling the world doing what I love by doing the unsexy shit in the weight room. The work you do when the lights are not on makes all of this possible. So in this video, I'm going to explain the exact framework that I've used to get over 100 professional athletes out of chronic knee pain, even when they have access to the best resources in the world. I'm going to show you how I rebuilt my body from injured and broken to playing basketball for as long as I want. Here is proof. 2 weeks ago, I was in Indonesia, averaging 13, 15, and 4 assists. I was averaging 33 minutes a game, and this is without a warm-up. I didn't have to foam roll. I didn't have to stretch. I didn't have to do any of that shit because I spent time rebuilding my body using the exact framework that I will show you right here. It's the 4 pillars of pain-free performance, and if you stick around, I will give you the 5 exercises that go along with that to rebuild your body without hyper-focusing on your knees. So if you're somebody like Hendrik and you're playing professional basketball somewhere and you are battling knee pain and all they're giving you is quad specific exercises, when you start doing these things and your glutes and the rest of your posterior chain actually start to fire for the first time in a while, they're going to fatigue quickly and they're going to start shaking. And those are 2 very good signs that they have not been activated in the way they need to translate into the on the court movements. And that is exactly why your knees hurt. There are parts of your body that have been neglected in your own workout routine that have put excess tension on your knees. So here is the pain-free performance framework. Now, it's been over 10 years since my knees used to hurt an 8 out of 10 pain scale on a daily basis. I remember going back and forth through the doctor's offices, trainers, physios, getting second and third opinions, trying to ask people what the hell was wrong with my knees, and the answers were never clear. That was always the number one problem. I would be looking at everybody like, you guys are supposed to be the experts, and all I need is the ABC explanation of why I was in pain and how to get out of that, and all I got were more and more question marks. So in 2012, I go from an ACC player to watch to wearing 2 knee braces every practice and every game, and then getting dunked on and shit like this. Is this embarrassing? Absolutely. But you know what's worse? Is me thinking about my knee pain every single second of the game and not being able to read and react because I'm so internally focused on which movements are actually going to hurt my knee. So I'm in so much pain on a daily basis that they actually told me to retire when I was 20 years old. Because after the surgeries and the injections and the ice bags, they ran out of solutions. So on a daily basis, I'm just getting a quad massage and some ibuprofen. And the worst part about it, I'd done everything they told me to do. I was strengthening my quads. I was hitting all of the rehab benchmarks. I iced. I did all of the band exercises. I had a daily routine that was like 90 minutes long, and I was still just getting worse as the season went on. So I'm frustrated as shit. My NBA dreams are down the toilet. And now it's gotten to the point where I don't even care about basketball anymore. I just want to be able to get out of a chair pain-free. And that is around that time where I learned something that would change my entire approach to training and rehab. And honestly, it saved my career. My knees were never the problem. They were just the victims of a faulty system. So I'm assuming that if you're watching this video, you're desperate enough because you've tried all the normal bullshit, and it's time we try attacking this thing from a totally different direction. Since I didn't get my answers from the doctors, I found my own. This is a whole new approach, and this is the exact way of thinking that gets me and my clients better results than pretty much everybody else. And that is because I was desperate enough to search, and I tried and tested it on myself. Here is the myth that we have all been through a bunch of times: your knees are hurting because they're weak. The way I view things, the knees are taking excess tension and stress on a daily basis over 1,000 reps because of the whole entire system. And when you solve this system, it finally gives the knees a chance to relax and recover. When I look at the kinetic chain right here, your feet, your glutes, and your deep core aren't doing their job, so the knees have to pay the price. Which person do you think is going to have knee pain in this picture on the right? It's probably going to be the guy with the fucked up posture. His glutes can't fire. He has inactive feet because they've just been ankle taped and in cushiony shoes his whole life. and he doesn't use his deep core muscles to stabilize his trunk. He doesn't understand how to move. Now all of a sudden his knees hurt. It doesn't matter how many quad extensions he does or how much he bulletproofs his knees. The knees will continue doing the grunt work in every single posture and movement, and they will continue hurting. That is why for the guys with chronic knee pain, no amount of squats, banded TKEs, or monster walks are going to fix that when the foundation is broken. So what we do here is rebuild your body correctly from the ground up so that you don't need a warm up, you don't need stretches or any of the other fancy exercises that you see on Instagram. You can walk onto the court and play like I do right now and like you did when you were younger. So warm-ups are just for blood flow. It's not like you have to foam roll and stretch the shit out of every muscle just because your body is begging you to do that. Now, here is the solution. Again, your body is not a random collection of muscles. It is a system. So every time your foot hits the floor, force travels up your kinetic chain. If it goes into the glutes and is handled by this system, no joints have to take excess tension. If your feet cannot absorb it, your glutes cannot catch on, and your trunk does not stabilize. So guess where that force goes to? It's either your lower back or your knees. If you have chronic knee pain, it's obviously going into your knees. That's why I start every rehab and performance program by rebuilding the system first. Before we get into any knee specific stuff, we rebuild the feet, the glutes, and the deep core muscles. Notice how your deep core muscles have 4 major systems, and the only one we have paid attention to is the rectus abdominis because that's the one that shows. So when you neglect these other 3 systems, your trunk is not stable and it throws off your posture. Obviously, if you have bad posture, you're not going to be able to put that system into movement. When you rebuild these, your knees finally get a break, and more importantly, they can heal over time. So where do you start? Right now. Do these exercises in this order and your legs are going to feel fire, I promise. Start with the couch stretch pulses, hang out in this position for a little bit, and then go over the video instruction that I have linked in the description. This is to inhibit your tight hip flexors and then activate your glute muscles. Next, we have your pigeon rotations. This is to open up tightness on your lateral hips and then sink into that working hip. Again, we are trying to free up some space to access more glute control. Then we turn on the adductors to access more internal rotation at the hip, and then we get better activation out of the glutes. So in general, when your hips are locked up because your brain doesn't feel stable or safe in positions, it's very hard to access the glute muscles, which are the most important part of your body. That is why this is a steady progression to get very good glute control. Next, we do the banded hip thrust. That works on stabilizing the hips to get better knee traction. And then finally, this one is the money maker, the split stance hinge with your foam roller. This brings it all together. This should bring your glutes to failure. And after doing these 5 exercises, you're going to understand why not focusing on the knee actually makes the knee feel better. And if you want foot exercises or more core that actually translate to pain-free movement on the court, just drop a comment below or hit me up. I got you. Just doing these 5 exercises in the morning can actually help your knees feel better that same day. So if you want more help rebuilding your foundation, I built a mobility guide that walks you through more exercises that will help you out. It's going to do what we talked about in this video. It's going to rebuild your body so that your knees don't hurt anymore. And it's free. So the link is below. All right. This is not just rehab. It's about rebuilding your whole entire body and trusting that system again. Being able to practice again and play without fear. Remember, guys, pain is your body asking for a change. So stop doing the same shit. Download the mobility guide, go through these exercises, then hit me up for the next steps. Thank you for watching. Peace.